What's going on, YouTube land? All right, so I am heading out to go evaluate a potential flip, and this flip happens to be a condo. Can you flip condos and make money? Well, it all depends on numbers. It has nothing to do with the type of property that you're looking at. It all depends on what you get it for, how much does it cost, what does it need, how much can you sell it for on your ARV. So you should look at all kinds of properties when you're looking for a flip to do and what to evaluate. You know, condos can be just one of those quick and dirty kind of flips where it just needs a little bit of work, not as much money, usually a lower investment overall. So those are certainly something to consider. Pros and cons of that, you know, again, you're gonna have a lower cost of entry most likely, and you're gonna have a lower construction cost budget most likely. And then, you know, your ARVs are gonna be a little bit less, so you're gonna be marketing to a different kind of buyer. Cons, one of the things you got to think about on the construction side is just access to getting in and out, getting subcontractors in and out, getting people like me in and out of the project feasibly, meaning do we have to go through a lot of elevators? Do we have to shut down elevators in order to get material in and out, and tools in and out, and blah, blah, blah. So feasibility, part of when you go and evaluate these properties is looking at those kinds of things. Can I get in?
9 miles ahead on the route. Stop and go traffic.
Well, that sucks. Traffic is traffic, right? Nothing I can do about it. Anyway, those are things to think about. Access is very important when you're thinking about condos. It's not like a detached single-family home where we just can park in the driveway, drop dumpsters, whatever. You got to think about all those things. You know, porta potties, dumpsters, all that when you go look at a condo. How fast can we get in and out of this thing, right? Timeline's important on a smaller project for sure. So we're gonna run down and look at this one. I'm gonna walk it, decide what it needs, how much, is it worth it? Let's go take a peek. All right, so we're here in the unit and I'm just kind of walking through. It's a small unit, 2-bedroom, 1 bath. It's in a pretty large complex itself, and there's actually a fair amount of units for sale, so a ton of lock boxes downstairs on the pillar. It's right next to a university, so it's, you know, these are a lot of people that own these, have these as investments. This is one we're looking at as an evaluation for a flip to then put back on the market as an upgraded investment for someone that's going to end up renting it out to college students. So that's kind of what this is going to be looked at in that respect. What I do is I walk through these and I look at everything that needs to be done versus should we do it or should that person do it. And right now, first thing I found was the actual door. So door off the hallway coming into the unit. So you can see that is not closing because we've got a hinge issue. So we've got actually screws that have pulled out from the actual hinge itself into the frame. And they've actually, the door is now sagging, so it's not actually, the reveal is off. That's why it's hitting the jamb and the casing right here. And if I lift up on the door, I can close it. So very least, replace the hinges, run longer screws back into the framing, and see if we can suck that back. That's just, you know, that's one thing that's not gonna work. People are gonna look at that and say, I can't close my door to my unit. That sucks. And the longer that goes with someone trying to force it shut, the worse it gets. So something to think about. Next thing, so we've got bedroom back here, which is the bigger one. You can see runs right out. This is I-25 here, so it's running out to a major highway. We've got light rail system right here. And again, like I said, we've got a university right over here. The whole campus is behind us. There's a high school across the highway. So it's my high school actually. So we got bedroom number 1. Here's the bathroom. This would be just basically whether this is new tile or not, in units that have been used as investments for quite a long time. I don't trust any of this system behind here, so I would say rip all this out, These drop-in pans never end up very good. I can already see it's been leaking for a long time based on grout line, cracking, a little bit of swell back at the bottom, so I would say this whole thing needs to be torn out. Other thing that I noticed, tank, it's actually a newer toilet, dual flush, but this tank is real loose, so that needs to be tightened down. These gaskets can get loose, or if they're never installed properly. Honestly, we've got some really nasty tile running through here, and a lot of this has got, I mean, I'm feeling some of the grout lines are actually uneven, so I would actually suggest just tearing this whole section out all the way through here, make it a little more appealing, and then that way I'll pull that toilet and make sure it's seated correctly, and if I need to add a new wax ring at that point and reset the toilet, make sure everything's working. Same thing with the vanity. I mean, you're not gonna go crazy with rentals. You don't wanna, go high-end upgrade, but things that need to be fixed. And I always come down here and I look at plumbing, what do we got, what are we working with down here? A lot of movement here. It's just minor water damage stuff that needs to be addressed too. Staining, some of this stuff is uncleanable, so you want to make sure that you fix that stuff as well. Easiest way is just to replace it. Trying to repair like Formica or older materials on any level is pretty much worthless. You end up saving money just starting over. I look at code issues. That's a GFCI, so it's actually protected. It's not quite seated properly. This would be an easy fix just to pull this out, pull the rough-in box, square everything up, make sure this is squared up. A lot of times this just isn't screwed in correctly. Just little tiny things that you'll see come up. Replace the lighting. Some of the stuff we can't get into. This fan probably just needs the housing to be clean. Pull this off, clean it. Minor stuff. Got some closet space. Here's the panel. As you can see, it's very old. So really, instead of getting into things like this on a unit, a condo unit, instead of looking at service upgrades, you don't want to touch that stuff if you don't have to. Just make sure all the breakers are up to code and working properly is key. And again, you come back in, here's the kitchen. We got tile countertop. This is something you started considering. You can do a simple, and I can make these myself in the shop, but doing some sort of wood countertop is a very, very inexpensive way to go, and it looks cool, it'll draw people in, and it's durable because the person that's end up buying this at the end of the flip is most likely going to be an investor. And then you start looking at appliances. Are things working? Again, got to think about the end buyer here and what they're going to be using it for. They're going to be using it for another renter, university students, or the college kids that are going to be living in here. So you don't want to go crazy with any of that stuff, but it's got to be functional and working, because you don't want to have, as an investor, if you're going to be renting this out, you don't want to have to come back in and continue to replace stuff once you've got a tenant in here, because that actually causes more harm than good. Next thing, they've got commercial carpet in here, carpet tiles. That's not a bad idea because it is durable, but again, install was not good, so all this just needs to be popped up. I would go with a very inexpensive laminate flooring. It looks good, it's very durable, and it's not hard to install. I did the same thing in this bedroom up front, which is a very small one. I would just come in here and just run your laminate all the way into this room. It's super easy. Run into the closet. You don't have to worry about durability. Carpet can get really gross. That's why I don't like it, especially when you have tenants. Things get spilled on it, pets, dirt in general. It gets stored literally under the carpet, which creates more problems down the road. Laminate is much more protective and durable and easy to clean, even if stuff gets spilled on it. So that's what I would think about doing. And because I was talking about pulling up all the tile up here, you can just run your laminate if you wanted to, or an LVT throughout the entire unit. I would take it all the way back in here. Maybe the master keeps carpet. It is kind of nice to have, but as I'm walking through here, I'm seeing some staining that's probably not coming out at this point. So either replace the carpet or you can just run LVT back in here. Again, you're doing this as inexpensively as possible, but you want to be able to fix things so they're right. And at the same time, it makes sense to sell back to the end buyer, so you're not putting too much money into the condo. So you have to sell it at a higher price, and then it's undesirable. And again, one thing I did notice when I came in here, there's a ton of lock boxes downstairs. There's a lot of units for sale in this building, so you have to be cautious about what part of the market you're trying to grab. You know what your end buyer is going to be, and you want to make sure that you're not going to outprice yourself based on the fact that someone else could come in and buy one of these at a less expensive price, do the same amount of work, and sell it for less because they're smarter with their construction costs. All right, it's going to need a coat of paint. I would say all this base trim is really beat up and it's very ornate. So what I mean by that is there's a lot of detail in here. When all this ends up doing for rentals is collect dirt. You want to make sure things are easy to clean and they stay clean, okay? The end user in here is going to be, again, a tenant. Also prevent too much dirt and grime from building up. So get rid of all the ornate trim, go with something square block, simple, easy to clean. It does not collect a lot of nasty grime. Last thing I would check is just running through all the outlets. There's a few broken ones in here. I would just replace those. I've done some videos on how to do that. Okay, so replacing all those outlets if they're broken, replacing all the covers so they're clean. So again, at the end of this project, when it's done, everything looks clean and new. That is key. Replacing your lock sets is also another good idea. Yeah, you're getting keys. Most likely no one's coming back in here. I always like to just replace the lock set, start over. That way if there's any lingering keys out there, nobody can get back into the building. If it's the same lock set, you just keep them out. Just peace of mind. All right, I think that's all that really needs to be done in here. There's probably about 6 weeks of work, 4 to 6 weeks of work. Feasibility wise, like I was talking about on the way over here, as far as ease of access for people like me to get here and do the work. You got to go through elevators. There is back access for stairs, but it's up on the 7th floor. So hauling things in and out of here is not going to be fun, especially on the demo side. Got to be as cognizant as possible about understanding how to get things in and out of here without disrupting other tenants and other people that are living here, but also not causing too much grief as far as someone like me, contractors getting in and out of here, bringing in materials. A lot of flooring is going to be brought up here, so that could be a little bit of a pain in the butt. I think actually the other thing I'm looking at now, thinking about materials, is I think these doors need to be replaced. So a couple of them don't hang right at the moment, so that's really either you replace them by just getting new doors, or you go and you cut them out and rehang them and use the existing door. But again, it's going to have that broken down quality to it. So if you're going to pull it out and go to the effort of rehanging it, you might as well just replace the door. That goes back to bringing more pre-hung doors up here. All these things you got to think about when you're bringing stuff into a condo. Yes, it's quick, it's not as expensive, and you can get a pretty quick return on your money, but in the end, what's the construction going to cost you because of that feasibility issue and that functionality issue? So just things to think about. I'm going to go back, I'm going to work through some numbers on the computer, and we're going to kind of figure out where front end, back end, and construction costs, where that ARV is going to be, and what the profit margin looks like. Is it worth it or not? All right, here we are back in the office. I'm going to run through some numbers on this condo and see where we're at. All right, so here is the property in question, shall we say. We'll run through the situation. This is the pictures. These are the pictures once again. You guys saw that as we were walking through. So here's the scoop. 11 days on market, pending offer. That's us. 885 square foot condo. Like I said, 2 bedroom, 1 bath. HOA pays everything here. So heat, water, trash, snow removal, exterior maintenance, and insurance. That's all included in the HOA, which is approximately $300 a month. And as we're running through this, we want to kind of keep that in mind as well. So first thing I do is I get back from looking at the property, full assessment. Obviously you probably want to do this if you can, depending on the market right now. If you can, get in there and look at it ahead of putting in an offer. But sometimes you got to rush to get to these things and play your due diligence after you're under contract. Not the case here, but we're running through it. So we're going to go down and take a peek at, this is going through Zillow, of course. So what I'm doing here is a lot of times I'm a licensed realtor, as you guys know, so I'll run through the MLS. If you have the ability to run through your local MLS and pull your comps through there, that is advisable. You can run through this using Zillow, which is what I'm going to do for you guys, just so you have the ability to use the public information available to you. Now, a lot of them are about the same condition as the one in question. This is number one. This one's listed at $269, so it's actually well above what the list on our property is. You can see right here, this one's furnished. People are living here. Keep in mind, you really want to look at sold comps, but I'm going to run through what's in this building real quick, just so we have an idea of, are we paying too much at market? What are we looking at here? Because I got to figure out our construction costs too. What is going to be done? What needs to be done? What will not be done because of this? All right, so this one's well over the asking price on our property. $250. This is exactly the same square foot. It's a 2-bed, 1-bath, and there's a price cut on this one of $8,000 as of yesterday. This one's got all tile floors, some carpet in here. They have painted their cabinets. They did not replace the countertops with the ugly tile that's in ours. And then same kind of pictures. You guys can see all the amenities, exactly the same unit on a different floor. Here's another one listed about 10 grand more. Let's see, this is on a different floor. You guys can see in here, they've done some LVT like I was considering. We've still got tile in the kitchen, which needs to get the same amount of work done, which is tear it out. Same vanities. So you still got almost the exact same situation as our property, and 10 grand more, different floor. All right, let's look at one more on the market. Here's another one that's exactly the same layout. You can see they've replaced some appliances, painted their cabinets. I've done a decent backsplash. A lot of pictures of the backsplash. And otherwise, they haven't touched this thing. So this one's listed for about 20 grand more. That's not 20 grand worth of work there. Appliances are probably 5 or 6. This is the lobby. These are all pictures of not the unit. There's your elevator. Lovely. Parking spot in the garage. Amenities, like we talked about before. Again, this is right next to a university. So a lot of college students will be renting these units. That's who's going to be buying them, are the people that are going to then turn around and rent them back out to college students. All right, so there's several comps, all of which are at least 10 grand over the price we're under contract for on this one. So keep that in mind. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to go move on to what the sold comps were, so we can kind of have an idea of where we're at. All right, so then we move over and we do the same process, but we're just going to click on our sold button. We've got our address up, so it's going to give us the same area, and then we're going to look at everything that's sold, and we want to make sure we're checking the time frame on these things. So this one was sold on September 3rd, $280. It's a 2-bedroom, 2-bath. So let's pull this one up real quick. And take a look at some pictures. They've definitely done some work in here, redone the shower, new floors, new paint, new vanities. There's definitely been some work in here. Again, it's a little bit bigger unit. This is a 2-bed, 1-bath that's sold on August 20th. You can see new LVT flooring. Actually, it looks like laminate, not LVT. And that's about it. It's about $25,000 more than our property in question. Here's another one, 2-bed, 2-bath. This one's a little bit bigger as well, sold on August 13th. Again, same thing. Pretty much all original. It looks like everybody's replacing floors because it was carpet or commercial carpet tile before. Not many pictures on this one as well. 268.9, 255, 2-bed, 1-bath, 255, 2-bed, 1-bath. These are different buildings down the road here. About the same square foot. 262.9, 2-bed, 2-bath. Again, a lot of these are, here's 2-bed, 1-bath. Same building. Let's click on a couple of these pictures so you guys can see them a little bit bigger. Flip through these. There's definitely been some work done on this one. Actually, this is pretty nice. Oh, good work here. So this is a really good idea here of what can be turned from that exact condo. This one probably went pretty quick, my guess. Okay, that was, well, this is way back in January. So, yeah, that's sold at $270, but that could be well over $300,000 right now. This market has gone up considerably even since the beginning of the year. So that's actually a pretty good comp if you're paying attention to the date on that one. We got 2-bed, 2-bath for $267.5. Not really. That's the same building, a little bit bigger. Let's take a peek at this one real quick. This one's pretty nice too. We got some rail doors, good work. That replaces the ugly glass ones that are in there, and this work in here. All right, so this is giving me an idea. This one was sold on 12/14 of 2020. So again, this one could be well over $300,000 by now. A lot of these actually sold beginning of this year or end of last year. 285, 285. This was almost a year ago, 285. Again, it's got an extra bathroom. It's about 100 square feet more, but you're starting to see kind of where this price lies. All right, so now we're going to flip over and look at our spreadsheet. Okay, so here's our accepted bid price. Keep in mind this could be hypothetical numbers. We're just going off this, but this is accepted bid per the unit we're looking at. My target retail is going to be conservative at 285. Okay, I think we can be 300, but I'm going to keep it at 285 for right now. We're going to run through our construction numbers and then see. You don't really want to fudge numbers, but I know I have some wiggle room in this sale price. Again, this, like I said, is going to be about a 4-week-ish job. So we're trying to get in, get out, get this back on the market very quickly. All right, so we got a realtor fee of 6% in here. So we got to pay out $17,000 in realtor fees once this sells, buy side, sell side. I've got a $12,000 budget in here. So we're looking at about a $25,000 profit estimate in about 4 weeks. Okay. I've gone in here. I've got one dumpster. Now you guys are going to see in here, we got a little bit of logistical issue on where to put the dumpster. Again, like I said before, condos can be a little trickier with some of the feasibility of working in them and getting work done. Sometimes that's going to push your cost up a bit on the contractor side. Keep that in mind. Again, yes, they're quick projects. There's a lot less capital going into them, but the hindrance problem as far as functionality and feasibility of actually working materials up and down stairs and elevators, so forth, that can cause a little bit of an issue. Okay. I've got paint in at $2,500. That's to paint the entire interior, labor and material. I'm going to have about $200 in plumbing, replacing fixtures, so forth. I've got about $250 of electrical work. That's replacing outlets, upgrading a couple breakers like I saw in there. I've got $600 in here for interior doors. That's if I want to replace all the pre-hung doors in the unit. That's both bedrooms and the bathroom is all it is. And then repairing the entry door off the hallway into the unit itself, because as I showed you, that thing has come loose. Got some hinge work to do on that one. It's a matter of just fixing the fact that it's just the screws are pulling out of the door jamb itself, out of the frame. There is a way to repair that. I think we can get it done even though it's a commercial door. That's where I've got in there for budget for that. Kitchen counters, that's ripping out the counters that are in there. Really, it's just a tile, a bunch of 4x4-inch tile. So that's to bring in a quartzite or, like I was talking about before, some sort of wood or butcher block product to put on top. That also includes replacing the kitchen sink. Then you got kitchen fixtures. So that's the faucet itself, possibly the garbage disposal. It looked like that thing was pretty old and needed to be swapped. I hate garbage disposals as far as appliances go. They're never used right, but I digress. We're replacing that. Bathroom fixtures, that's replacing the shower trim and the vanity itself. That's going to be a really tight number at $200, but I'm going to try and keep it there. Replacing the vanity, that's just going to be a pretty inexpensive vanity coming with the top and the sink. $400. I know where to get those. You got to source some of this stuff if you want to keep these tight condo projects under budget. All right. Now here's my flooring budget for the LVT or laminate flooring that we're going to replace it with. This is material and labor to do all about 700-ish square feet of flooring that needs to be replaced. And then you want to go ahead and add about a 10 to 15% overage on top of that for the material side to make sure you have enough for just cuts and waste. So keep that in mind when you're basically budgeting a material for flooring or tile or anything of that sort. Make sure that you add 15% for cut and waste. Okay, that makes sure you order enough material. All the trim, all the base trim needs to be replaced. If I replace the pre-hung doors, that casing's going to come off the doors as well. That's just the door trim itself. If you're replacing flooring, especially if you're replacing tongue and groove, LVT, laminate flooring, unless you're planning on running back with a shoe base to cover the gap you're going to have at the edges, plan on replacing the trim. Like I was showing you guys when we were there, that trim is too ornate. It's going to get dirty. It's gross anyway right now. It's pretty beat up. If I pull it out and try and reuse it, most of it's going to break. I'm then sourcing new material, wasting more time. Just plan on replacing the trim. I've got a budget of $500 in there. There's not much, and it's probably about $150 in material, $350 to $400 in labor. And now that I'm looking at this, I'm looking at the actual linear material, and I'm probably going to bump this to $850. All right. So there's one change you can see right there. Drywall, there's a couple of places we need to patch, skim coat before we paint. That's not much, $100 there. And then I come all the way down here. I've got holding fees. That's including paying utilities that we have to pay, and HOA, which, like I showed you, is included there. I've got a couple months budgeted in there just to make sure we're covered. And then I'm going to go ahead and add a contingency of $2,500 for anything unforeseen or things I need to add to. Okay, so now this formula brings me down to a grand total of renovations of $15,200. Come back up here. I've got a profit estimate of $22,800 for about 4 to 5 weeks of work. To me, this makes sense only because it's quick and the investment is low. So now it's going to depend on, is my ARV budgeted correctly? I feel like I'm pretty conservative based on what I've looked at in previous research and what I just showed you guys. My realtor fee is in there. Now, just so you can see how this works, if I were to say I'm going to push the market, I think we can get at least 300, probably more, but I could comfortably say 300 based on my comps. You can see where that goes. Now I'm in a $36,000, $37,000 profit somewhere in there with the same construction budget in mind. I feel like a couple more things might need to be done if I was going to go to this $300,000 mark. I'm going to keep it at $285 for now. Maybe we get a bidding war and it goes up, we make more money, but I like conservative numbers, especially on tighter, quicker projects such as this. So there you have it. That's exactly the way I would run through one of these projects. Hopefully that all makes sense. If you guys got any comments to make or any questions, drop them below for me. Make sure you check out these other videos. I've done a ton of videos on ARV, how to compute, do a comparable market analysis, so forth. That's all in the wide world of real estate and how to flip a house series. There's 2 different ones there on the channel here. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, and ding that bell if you have not yet. And keep in mind, we go live every other Wednesday. Don't forget the Built by Bailey's podcast, which talks about all kinds of stuff as well on all audio platforms and here on the YouTube channel. I appreciate you guys watching. And until next time,